It's Roxio again. We're back with the second part of my programming tutorial series. So in the last episode, we basically kind of went over like variable declaration, navigating with command line, stuff like that. If you're not really comfortable with that stuff, go ahead and like kind of practice it and, fiddle around with it right now. It'll make a big difference as we're kind of moving into the more advanced topics now. So essentially what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to set you guys up with a text editor called Sublime Text 3. I'm going to show you guys how to open like an entire file system, and I'll kind of show you around the text editor, like kind of what certain things do and stuff like that. And then we're actually going to get into some real programming. So let's see. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this guide started. So go ahead, and if you haven't already, get yourself a copy of Sublime Text 3. It's a very, very good text editor. I've been using it for a couple months now. It's like my first real text. It's like Babby's first text editor. You know what I mean? It's very basic. It's been great to me. It's like the package control is awesome. The syntax highlighting's pretty spot on. Everything's easy to read. It's a good text editor. Just give it a shot. Especially if you're starting programming, it's really good for beginners. So go ahead and just try it out. Trust me on that. So once you have it all installed and everything, go ahead and double click on it and open up a new file. I already have a couple of files open, and I'll show you kind of what I've been working on recently. Okay, so this is kind of what Sublime Text looks like when it's opened up. Don't worry about the way the code looks. It probably doesn't look terribly complicated, and you'll learn how to do all this stuff soon enough. But what I really want you to look at is the file structure over here on the left. Now, all this is I just opened up the adjective backend folder in Sublime Text, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's say I'm actually going to close this out so I can just show you from here. So you have Sublime Text open, right? So you can just Command O to open, and then navigate to wherever you have your project at. Mine's right here. And you can highlight one of the folders and just hit open, and it'll open the entire file structure for you. Now, we only have one file inside of this project folder, right? And it's just project.rb. Oh, so this is kind of like what we set up last time, if you guys remember. So we're going to be go ahead and work out our project.rb today. So if you haven't already, go ahead and get this open, because we're going to be doing some crazy programming stuff with it today. And also, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and navigate in your command line to the folder where project.rb lives. I'm not sure where you made it or what happened, just go ahead and navigate to it. So when you're in here, the way that you run Ruby files it's very simple. The way you run Ruby files from your command line is you do Ruby and then the name of the file, but it has to be an RB file. So actually what happened here is we don't have anything in project.rb, right? So of course whenever I put this in, it's not going to do anything, right? Because there's nothing in the file. So let's go ahead and make it do something. So we'll put, I don't know, we'll put Fido in here again or something like that. Then make sure you save it and then run it again. All right, as you can see, now we have some kind of output. So basically what happened, actually make this a little bigger for you guys, so maybe you can see a little bit better. I don't know why, but my bash gets bigger whenever I plus it. That's weird. All right, that's a little bit better. So as you can see, what happened here is I basically told the computer, hey, computer, I want you to run a Ruby file called project.rb. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to read project.rb and do whatever it does in the file. And all I told the computer to do was put Fido. So that's all it did. It really is that simple. We could even tell it to we can tell it to P, which is kind of like puts, but it actually gives you all of the output. 1 plus 1. Save this, and it'll give us Fido and whatever 1 plus 1 is. It's 2, right? It's just a program. You're just telling the computer what to do. That's all programming is. It's about learning a language and then just having the computer do what you want it to do. All right, so let's actually get into the programming stuff now. So what we're going to be doing here is making very basic things called methods. And what methods are is they're kind of like building blocks. They're kind of like, when you build like a Lego castle or like Lincoln Logs or something, you have different pieces you have to put together kind of. Almost like putting together a puzzle even. What methods are is they're kind of the glue to your programs, because we can write a method. All methods start with def. It stands for define. We do like add numbers or something like that, right? And then you need to make sure you put an end tag at the end of it to show where the method ends, so you don't have a huge megamoth method. But you don't know what megamoths are. It's like a huge method with a bunch of crap, but we'll get into that stuff a lot later. So we want this thing to add numbers, right? So how do we get the numbers to print to the console? Well, we can p 1 plus 1, right? And then whenever we call add numbers, it's going to give us 1 plus 1. So let's go ahead and run this in the command line and see what happens. So we still have Ruby project.rb being run, right? We have this thing in here. The file is saved, and so now we're going to hit enter, and oh, wait, nothing happened. Well, I did that on purpose because when you make these methods, it doesn't actually like you have to call the method basically. So whenever I want to add numbers together, like add this and get 2 or whatever, I have to tell the computer, hey computer, we have this skeleton built, right? We have like this blueprint kind of thing, right? And now I want you to execute the blueprint. I want you to do this certain function, this certain method kind of thing. So now we're going to call add numbers and watch what happens. Did I save it? Yes, I did. Boom, it gives us 2. Now, kind of the way that I've always thought of functions is they're almost like variables. And, we could have this function do anything. I don't know, we could call it like join strings or something like that, right? And we could have it do whatever we want. It puts 1 plus, and then we could do like 2 or something like that. You know what I mean? And again, all we have to do to get this thing to basically print this out is called join strings. Boom. And then we'll run Ruby project again, 1 plus 2. That's all methods are, really, is you give it something to do, it does it, and it just returns it. That's the nice thing about Ruby. It has something called implicit return, which I'll talk about later, but actually it doesn't matter for puts and p statements because it'll put that stuff to the console anyway, but let's do something a little bit more technical now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to give these methods basically like inputs, if that makes sense. We're going to pass them arguments. So now we're going to do something like add specific numbers. And we need to make sure we have an end tag because we're ending that method. And I'm going to go and just clean up a little bit. I'm just going to get rid of all this crap because, yeah. Okay, so now all we have is add specific numbers, right? So now we need to basically make it so this function or this method can take in some different arguments. So we'll call this num1 and num2. So all we have to do now is p num1 plus num2. So any idea what's going to happen here, or any idea how these things work? Like, think about it for a minute. All of these this is a way to pass in values and get it to the inside of the method so the method can process it. Like the plus operator is doing all the work in this method, right? And all we're doing is putting it out to the console when it actually runs this line, right? So the way you use this is, let's see, it's called add specific numbers. So we'll call it 5 and 7. All right, so now if we run it from the project.rb, boom, we get 12. I mean, all we did here is we had 2 arguments. We passed it into the method, and then the method did something, and it gave us back information, basically. That's really as simple as it gets for methods, right? So we can even use methods inside of other methods. That may sound crazy, but I'm going to show you something that might blow your mind right now. So we have a method, right? We can also call methods like this. And we can like have it add 4 plus 4 inside of here. And like what this is going to do is it's going to run the add specific numbers method for 4 and 4. And then it's going to add that 8 to the 7, if that makes sense. But there's only one problem with this, is we got to do this. So it actually returns it. This should work. And it didn't, because did I save it? Oh, well, we have to figure out why that's not working. I think I know why, actually. It's because I got ahead of myself. Wait, why isn't this working now? This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's because, oh, you know why? It's because I had it returning stuff. Yeah, it'll work. Never mind. I'm stupid. I know why it wasn't working, because I have to do this, I'm pretty sure. And it'll print it out twice or whatever. But yeah, see? It's a flaw in the way I had it made. That's all. Because it won't actually, I forgot IRB, like Ruby won't actually return the value unless we tell it to print the value. That was stupid. Like, that's debugging. It's stupid stuff. But yeah, as you can see, what happened here is this add specific numbers method got called first, and it printed 4 plus 4, which is 8. That's this first value. and then it took that value of 8 and it added it to the 7 to make the 15. Now you can do all of this crazy, crazy stuff with methods like this. Like this is kind of an advanced example, but there is some completely insane stuff you can do with method definitions and stuff like that. Like the main thing to take away from that is up here, the program was technically working, but I just wasn't putting anything out to the console. Um, but yeah, I mean, this also takes into account that you can actually call the same method within another method. It's actually kind of like, that's kind of close to recursion, but we're not going to go over recursion until later. Recursion's kind of a crazy concept. Um, so go ahead and like, if you want some practice, like make methods that just do random stuff. Like you can make it so you can have a method that, multiply, like multiply millions of numbers or something like that. You can end. Then you could have like take input. You can do, the thing is with computers and programming is you can do anything that you want to if you understand how the mechanics of the programming stuff works. Like this is really exciting stuff. This stuff is awesome once you learn how to actually like manipulate the logic and stuff like that. Before we go, I kind of want to give you guys a glimpse of what we're going to be creating in a way. So we're going to go back to my other files over here. And this is kind of close to what we'll actually be making. You can ignore the active record base. This is like hooked up to a database and stuff like that. Like, see this, you have a class called character, which don't worry about classes yet. I'll explain about them. But basically, think of it this way. We have a character who has the ability to level up, who has the ability to give currency, who has the ability to acquire currency. He can check if he's dead, he can heal, he can check where he's located. Like when you're building methods and things like that, try to think of functionality and name your methods after the functionality that they represent. And that'll always keep your code like super clean because for instance, where did I put my, oh yeah, I got to minimize everything. Like for instance, if I do just def meth like cool method, but it's not descriptive. Yeah, it's a cool method, but it's not descriptive, right? But see, I named this one add specific numbers, num1, num2. It's more specific. I hope that makes sense. I'll be explaining more of this in the later videos, but I'm trying to really give you guys a good like understanding of how programming kind of works before we really get into the complicated crap. And in all reality, it's awesome that you're watching my videos. It really is. Like I hope you guys get a lot out of these. But learning how to program is more about doing things like this, just messing around with the code. You should really try to have a playful curiosity with it. It not only do you feel more motivated to actually build like really awesome stuff, but you learn 100 times faster. It's pretty awesome. I will admit it. Like I think coding's awesome. So anyway, that's enough of me preaching. We didn't get through a ton this episode, but I think that's okay. Because there are a couple of things that just need to be explained before we really get into stuff. So again, just mess around with your methods, run it in your console, get used to that. Because you should never double click a file and have it give you output unless you're making executables, stuff like that. Just keep practicing, keep trying stuff out. If you're stuck, Google it, send me an inbox. I don't care. Let me know what's going on. All right, so I think that'll be it for this episode. So make sure you guys comment, rate, and subscribe. New video coming out in a couple days. I will talk to you guys later.